North-South Connection and Wrestling Warzone Patreon patrons, welcome into Wrestling Warzone and Monday Awards Podcast. Easy for me to say. Podcast retrospective series. I'm JT. Joining me as ever is my partner Chad. This is simulcast audio under North-South Connection and all podcast applications except those cowards at Spotify, and video on our YouTube channel under North-South Connection, as well as our Patreon, Wrestling Warzone. To search out a Patreon, it's absolutely free to join. And you get some, look, it's minimal benefits. It is what it is, right? But it's free. You can support us. You get updates when we're recording, and also a link to watch us record live, where you can share your comments in a chat. We'll read them on air. And also here and there, you'll get some bonus stuff from Chad along the way once he's back up and running with that. And any other stuff, different requests or whatever you put in there, we will work our best to honor. Chad, how are you?
I'm doing good. How's it going?
Not bad. I'm hot off the basketball court. Had two playoff games tonight. Hustled right into the house. Shower quick. Ate some peanut butter pretzels, and I'm here with you. We finished as a 3 seed, 7-3. Won the first round game tonight on a big comeback, and then we got destroyed in the semis by a team that just could not miss. So summer league's tough because it's hot as hell. It's muggy. Kids are like pissy. So there's a lot of nonsense out there. But it was a fun season.
So season's over, right?
We're done. That was it. So The finals are Friday. We'll probably go. I'll go watch. They're also doing some awards and a 3-point contest, which my son's in. So we'll see him do that. I'm hopeful for Coach of the Year. We'll see if it comes through.
Do they give that award?
Yeah, well, they did like a ballot for like some different awards, like MVP, Most Improved, and Coach of the Year was one of them. So we'll see.
Oh, good God!
We'll see. I gotta hang that on the wall.
Give me a break.
Summer League Coach of the Year. We had a good
How
squad.
many teams? What's your odds?
7 teams.
Yeah, pretty good odds.
Yeah, decent odds. I'm good with the kids, so hopefully that'll shine through and people will see it. The first place team, the coach, is a little rough around the edges, so I'm hoping that gets ignored. And
okay,
we're only 2 games behind first, so it wasn't too bad. I think they were 9-1. The second place team was 8-2, and we were 7-3. So.
First place teams played the second place team in the final.
First place team right now was playing the 6th seed or whatever to move on to the finals. They did the seeding weird. It was kind of annoying actually. So the first place team got a bye, and then you would think they would do 2-7, 3-6, 4-5, but instead they had 6 and 7 play like a play-in game, and did 2 versus 5 and 3 versus 4. So we had a tougher first round game. But that essentially gives the number 1 team like a double bye, which is kind of weird. You know what I mean? So like they have the bye and then they get the worst team. That seems like you should get one or the other if you're the 1 seed, not both, especially if you're only the 1 seed by like 1 game. So it was kind of shady.
I need Vanna White to show me the brackets.
The brackets.
I'm all confused here. Yeah.
Well, I think the one nice thing is it gave like the 2 shit teams, like 6 and 7, a chance to win a playoff game, which was cool. Like that game actually was crazy. The 6 seed won on a buzzer beater 3. They were down 2, and he hit it at the buzzer at a bank 3 to win it. So it was like a cool moment for them. But so anyway, that's my summer league youth basketball story out of the way. But tonight we're here. We got a Raw, we got a Nitro. It is July 7th, 1997. It is the night after Canadian Stampede. It is the go home for Bash of the Beach. So we'll see what each promotion has cooking here. Look, for me, we're in the prime of like my wrestling fandom. Like the summer of 97, I was like so into both promotions, watching everything, consuming everything. I couldn't get enough. It was a ton of fun that summer. Like staying up, obviously watching Raw, recording Nitro, then whatever I flipped through during the commercials, and then I go back and watch Nitro, and just talking about it nonstop with my buddies. Like it was definitely one of my favorite times. In going into my senior year of high school and stuff. So this is like a cool time, a cool summer anyway. And then just having like wrestling be red hot for once, because 96 was fun, but it wasn't hot yet. But like 97, like people are starting to get into it. It's starting to, when I got back for senior year of high school, like it was being talked about, that year going into 98. So that was cool suddenly to have that. So it was just a really fun time. And I'm looking forward to these next couple of months.
Yeah, it seemed to be a pretty stark contrast from when school ended in May of 97 to when it went back up in like August or whatever for me. The amount of wrestling shirts you saw, because you saw either Austin 316 or NWO shirts way more than before.
It was wrestling in South Park senior year. Like we came back in September, like everyone was watching and talking about like both of those things that fall. Because I think South Park had just started.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
still
fall in '97.
a little too young for that.
Yeah, that was everyone was talking Cartman and everything else. Yeah, August 13th, '97. So it had just started. So like everyone was quoting Cartman and doing all that, and then watching wrestling, NWO, Austin. It was can't miss. Like you could not drag me from like I had to be home on Monday nights or I was pissed. Like, my
Right.
parents had plans or we went somewhere. It was like no friggin' chance. Like I am going to be in front of the TV on Monday night, no matter what. And I remember, I think it's the episode in a few weeks. My parent, I don't know if you've been to my parents' house now, but like where I grew up. So the house is like here, and there's a bend that comes around, and there's an island, and everyone takes that bend like an asshole, like 100 miles an hour. And it was a Monday night, right before the main event of Raw. Car comes whipping around that corner, flips over, and lands in my front yard. So everyone's going outside. And I'm fucking pissed now because like I'm missing the main event of Raw because everyone's out in my front yard because this asshole flipped his car over in the friggin' yard or whatever. So I remember like recording, and I think it's like one of the few Raws on my Raw tapes from that era that has commercials in it because I had to leave it running. I couldn't pause out the commercials. And I made it back in time for the end of the main event. I'm like, I'm done watching this nonsense outside. But that's coming around here. So it's just, yeah, the Monday nights during this time were great. Like I remember calling my buddy Jim right after and breaking it down. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a weird time. I mean, I know it was like 98, but my uncle and my cousin, they never watched. And we'd always go on our family beach trip. And all of a sudden they were like, yeah, we can't go out to eat tonight because the wrestling's about to come on. And at that time, I guess if it was Nitro coming on at 7 Eastern or 8, either way, it was pretty early because they're on Central, so it was either 6 or 7. So it's like we couldn't risk it. So we basically like ordered in a pizza at the beach and they watched it. And then, I mean, that really shows like the height of the popularity because that was 98. And I remember they had like the VHS tape of Unforgiven. Yeah, because it was weird watching the Sable versus Luna Vachon evening count match with my uncle. But by the next year, they were already out. So even like you think,
Right, it's
like
quick,
the peak of '99, like that, the highest Raw rating of all time, which happens. But yeah, like some people were already in and out. Like it was just a season of life for sure.
And I think they were both 8 to 10 still. I don't think Raw moved back yet to 9. I don't think.
Well, by then in '98, they made Nitro maybe 3 hours.
Nitro goes to 3 hours in April, I think, of '98, I believe.
So there you go.
But I didn't remember if they were 9 to 11. I don't think so. I feel like they're both 8 to 10. I think Raw goes 9 to 11 at some point in here, but I don't remember when.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive in. We get a Vince narrated package on Canadian Stampede, and he says we experienced blind patriotism. We get comments from fans outside the arena, clips from the main event, talks about the crowd cheering their heroes and their vicious acts and berating the Americans and lambasting Austin as he was let out in cuffs. And Vince says, yet again tonight, we are back in Canada. We get our opening animation, and we are in Edmonton tonight. So, yeah, we obviously remained after being in Calgary. JR welcomes us in. The crowd is rowdy. We get revved up again as the Hart Foundation music hits, and out comes Bret Hart. He's got an Oilers jersey on under the Hart Foundation jacket, and Bret is now on schedule to attempt to take back the WWF title at SummerSlam as he takes on The Undertaker. Vince congratulates Bret for the win last night. Bret greets his fans, thanks him for letting them be his hero and believing in him. A few weeks ago, he was told to love or leave America, and he's been traveling the world and the USA. And the one thing he's always looked forward to is loving leaving it. He wants everyone to understand his Canadian pride, and he isn't sure how it escalated. And he isn't anti-American. He's just pro-Canadian. Americans think they're better than Canadians and everyone else. But look at Donovan Bailey, and you realize not many Americans are as great as they think. Canada's where they still take care of the sick and the old, and we have health care. It's a pretty well-known Bret promo in that part. We have gun control. We don't shoot and kill each other on street corners. We're not riddled with racial prejudice and hatred. We all care for each other. He's proud to be a Canadian and their hero, and promises to live up to doing their best to keep his word. And he will promise that at SummerSlam in America, he'll defeat The Undertaker to win his world title for the 5th time. And if he does not, he vows that he will return to Canada and will never wrestle again on American soil. Bret then calls out the man that beat that American scum last night, the Intercontinental Champion and best technical wrestler in the WWF, Owen Hart. Owen comes out to a pop. He's in an Oilers jersey as well. Ross reveals that Austin will challenge Owen at SummerSlam for the IC title. Bret says Owen will destroy Austin at SummerSlam. And then he brings out the most powerful man in the WWF, the European champion, the British Bulldog. Bulldog has the Oilers jersey on as well. And he looks great. Like, he is jacked. He is tan. He is loaded up, looking really strong. Ross says Ken Shamrock will challenge him for the European title. And Bret says, we all saw what Bulldog did to Shamrock last night, and that was just a taste. At the SummerSlam, Bulldog will annihilate him. For the past couple months, he lives with the fact that everything you see is through American lenses. The commentator, the cameraman, the fans, the wrestlers, the WWF, everything is American. So tonight, we're going to give everyone a taste of being from Canada. So he looks to the screen. The Canadian flag pops up, and we get an instrumental version of Oh Canada that gets a pop. And then I think it's a pretty famous Raw segment. The Hearts all line up against the ropes, kind of standing solemnly for the national anthem. But as they do, Austin slides in from behind and whacks them all with chair shots and cleans house. So a great opening segment. I thought they got a lot accomplished in a tight stretch. Like, Bret gave a State of the Union in front of the home fans. We found the top 3 matches of SummerSlam right away. So we have plenty of time to build to those. And then we get Austin with a quick kill shot and a pretty memorable moment. So I thought it's a pretty good opening segment. I thought they got a lot done. Get the Hearts right out in front of the hot crowd. Don't make them wait. And then Austin shows like he's not done. You're on mute, buddy.
My bad. I thought this was pretty good. I'd like to have heard more about Bret versus Taker, because there is only 4 weeks between here and SummerSlam, the SummerSlam, which Bret says. So even though he gives like the big stipulation, we'll get to it. Like, I'm not crazy about the stipulations they throw down for that show. I think they're too kind of weighted in the way the matches are going. But overall, it was a good promo to get everybody out, to get a good pop, and then Austin to come in with an attack for good heat. I'm interested in the Edmonton Oilers dynamic because, like, I know, like, the Oilers obviously had the big run with Gretzky and all that in the 80s, but I mean, Edmonton and Calgary are like sworn rivals. So
yeah, I think it's a pure suck it up to the.
I mean, I'm not coming out if I'm a wrestler and I'm in Jacksonville, I'm not coming out with a Florida Gators jersey though. No chance.
Look at Cena though; he always wore like the hometown jersey or whatever when he was.
What a sellout! So you'd come out, Mr. Matt Rozzero here.
No, the Mets are our biggest rival. Yeah, no, I don't care. I mean, whatever. That's the gimmick. Like, it's we don't even know if they're Flames fans. Maybe the Hearts are.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I could see them being Oilers fans, but then I looked it up and like the Hitman were sold to the Flames,
right?
Which is weird, but
yeah.
I mean, maybe they're predominantly Oilers fans, but
yeah, I think they were just kissing up to the home. I think the Canadian pride outweighed the team pride for this angle is where they were headed.
Never.
So you're not gonna wear an Avs jersey in Nashville?
I'm not. No, I'm going definitely neutral on that.
You could probably go Panthers. And no one's gonna.
They're not like their biggest rival either.
Yeah.
That's like the thing. Like, I mean, if they're Edmonton fans, first and foremost, that then gets into kind of like their front running. But anyway, I mean, like, Calgary and Edmonton are 1A, 1B rivals. So
yeah,
you can't do that. Like,
Vince Ross and King lead a replay. They tossed the comments from Bret during the break. He says this is what he goes through every night. They think they can walk all over him and his family, but they will not walk all over Canada. Vince publicly apologizes for Austin's actions to interfere with something as solemn as a national anthem. All right, back to the ring we go now for our opening match. And it's a rematch from last night, and that is Taka Michinoku taking on the Great Sasuke. A pretty big Raw match, honestly. Taka hits the ring. As he settles in, Brian Christopher's out to no music. He just jumps in the booth as a guest of the king. Sasuke jogs down. We get a pre-recorded inset promo in Japanese. Taka attacks at the bell. King immediately makes some racist kung fu jokes, and Christopher's cackling. Christopher mocks Canadian women. King is in his glory, having his boy out here making awful jokes. Sasuke kicks Taka to the floor, follows a somersault plancha as King and Christopher continue to talk shit. Back inside, Sasuke works the arm. We get a flurry of reversals. Christopher calls him the Great Shampooey and keeps ranting. Sasuke grabs a single leg crab, but Taka gets a rope break. Sasuke peppers him with kicks. King says Sasuke kicks like a girl as he takes Taka's head off with a spin kick, which is like obviously the opposite as he crushes him. Taka tumbles outside, but comes back in with a missile drop kick to send Sasuke out. Taka meets him with a dive off the top as Christopher talks about Scott Putski and his Polak dad. Sasuke slowly gets to his feet and stumbles around, gets on the apron, but floats through a suplex. Taka comes back with a belly-to-belly for two, hits a Michinoku driver. Christopher calls them Japs, and Vince panic corrects him. Taka whips on a top rope moonsault. Sasuke springboards, but Taka drop kicks him from the air. Sasuke ducks a charge and dips Taka to the floor. Flies out with a space flying tiger drop, but lands right on his head. King keeps calling Taka Taco. Ross is hyping the lightweight division. Taka floats through a suplex. They come in off the apron, gets a German for two. Sasuke pops up, snaps Taka down with a thunder firebomb, and gets the win. I'll be honest, this was disappointing to me across the board. The match was fun, not as intense as the pay-per-view. The crowd was not into it. And Christopher and King were fucking terrible. Like, they killed the whole match in the booth. They were annoying, not funny, distracting, dismissive, racist. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. Like, I feel bad even saying what they were saying, but like, they were just awful. I don't think it got over the lightweight division at all. Like, it was counter to what they're doing to have these two guys out there flying around and you're shitting on it. Like, I get your heels, but like, just let everyone focus on the match that you're trying to sell. Like, this is a big deal to have these guys here, and you're just out there making awful jokes and comments. It's obviously better than most Raw matches, but it's not what you hope for. And I don't think the legacy of this either match, honestly, is held up to what the legend gives. And I didn't look at it through modern eyes. Like, I tried to put myself back in the moment, but Christopher and King really killed this for me. I went 3 1/4, and that feels like the floor for these guys.
Yeah, I even went lower. I went 3. I think, I mean, it's a quick match too. It's 5 minutes, so it's very quick. Yeah, Keegan Christopher's commentary is some of the worst you'll ever hear for a match, because it being overtly racist. Even beyond that, it's just not productive at all for the division. Like, they're constantly crapping on both guys, and it's insane, because the night before, King actually did well on commentary, like throwing to Ross and getting his opinion on stuff. So it's so disappointing and annoying that he resorts to this when he has Christopher out there. Like you said, the crowd, they just don't care. Like, WWE, we saw it with LaFon and Furnace, and now we see it with these guys. Like, I don't know, it takes a lot without a personality or something to get these WWF crowds up for just wrestling action. And this didn't really do it. Like, there were some cool spots, obviously, some dives, but also a good bit of slop in there. So, yeah, I mean, I thought this is good, but I definitely don't think it's like a classic or memorable.
And you got Ross like shilling the lightweight division as they're shitting on these two guys that are better than anyone in the promotion. So it's like, you know, like, what are we doing? All right, Vince, King, and Ross run down what's ahead for the rest of the night, including Brett's return to action, his first on Raw in a long time. We get the Army Slam of the week. It's Undertaker's choke slams on Vader from last night. Ross narrates a video package that covers the dismantling of the old nation, the spinoff into 3 new gangs. And we see the brawl between the DOA and Bariquas on Shotgun from this past weekend. And right to the ring we go. We are underway with the gang wars as Savio Vega takes on Crush. The Bariquas saunter to the ring. They got all white gear on. We got Cabrera and Tito Santana in the Spanish booth as well. We see them. We are followed by the DOA. They come down to the Harleys to a decent pop. we get our first official gang war match. Like I said, the two captains, they stare down, talk some shit. They slowly disperse down to the floor as the match gets underway. Savio jumps Crush, hammers and claws as Ross gives their history. Crush catches Savio with a boot, unloads to cheers, drops Savio across his knee with a backbreaker and holds him there. He lands some more strikes. Savio comes back with a spin heel kick. The Boricuas quickly throw Crush back in after he gets knocked outside. They have a standoff with the DOA. Savio works over Crush while keeping DOA at bay. Crush then dodges a heel kick, hits an awkward clothesline. Savio tumbles to the floor. He gets jumped by the DOA, leading to the bell and a big brawl, including a hot shot on Jesus on the bike. DOA stands tall and gets a loud chant, but other than that, not much else here. It was a little bit more energetic than I would have expected, honestly. They kept it quick. The only reason they even had this was so the gangs could brawl again, which is fine. And the crowd is into DOA. Like, I'm curious to track them as like a gimmick. Like, how long do they tie them to Undertaker? Does that continue? And how long are they over? Because right now, like, the crowd is really into them as a unit. So I want a 1.25 stars, which I would say greatly outkick the coverage on paper when you look at this match.
Star. I mean, it's a very quick match. Leads to a very long angle. Thought the action within the match wasn't anything special. Post-match brawl gave a little more heat. Did like seeing the Borica get slammed face first onto the motorcycle. That was a cool little spot. But besides that, not much going on for me.
Ross plugs the Superstar line. We'll have updates on Shawn Michaels, Sid, and SummerSlam. We then get an ad for the WWF Summer Flashbacks special on USA. And they name drop all sorts of old stars, including a lot of guys in WCW. And this was a first. Like, this was nothing they've ever really done before. And I remember this commercial airing like it was yesterday for the first time, popping up like Hulk Hogan, The Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ravishing Rick Rude, like all these guys. So it was like a really cool thing to see for the first time. What'd you think of that ad when you saw it?
Yeah, it was. I didn't really recall this, but I thought it was memorable and interesting to see. So, I mean, yeah, they had Flair, they had Piper, they had Hogan, they had Savage, Ultimate Warrior. So very large handful of guys that are no longer in the company. Rick Rude as well, and then they put in like Brett and Shawn as well. But yeah, it seemed like an interesting concept. Tied it to the nostalgia. I guess they had an open time slot. Just said they
and they definitely try and tricking fans, obviously a little bit, because the way they do it, it's like, come see Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, the Ultimate Warrior. Like, they definitely a little bit made it like, you know, a little kludgy. Like, are these guys going to actually be on something? I know I have this recorded somewhere. Like, I think it's basically just an hour of SummerSlam matches and highlights, like an old Coliseum tape or whatever.
But it seemed like
it was definitely jarring. Like, it was really jarring the first time. I remember it came on because it came out of nowhere. Like, they hadn't even mentioned it. All of a sudden, there's an ad with all these guys in it, and it was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, Razor Ramon, Diesel. It was like, "What the fuck?" So anyway, so I think that's airing at some point in the next couple weeks. We get a replay of the DOA spiking Jesus on the Harley. Paul Bearer's backstage. Vince asks him about his comments from a week ago. Bearer says he won't apologize because he's not the one who did the killing. Undertaker should apologize. Vince asks why we should believe him that Kane is alive, and Bearer says Kane told him so. That's why. Undertaker said the story wasn't true, but Kane is alive, and he's so disfigured, his charred body parts, and some of him is okay, but some is disfigured. He says the poor child went through so much these last 20 years, surgeries and skin grafts because he can't go into sunlight due to scars, and it's horrible. He knows how it felt because he experienced it when Taker burned his face. Kane's only hope is one day he'll come to face with his evil brother, and pure, unadulterated hate is the strongest emotion, and that's what Kane has for his brother. Undertaker's a murderer, and the whole world heard him threaten to kill Paul Bearer last week.
Yeah, just more Bear screaming murderer. But I mean, this is essentially all we got of this angle on this show, though. So it was very brief, and no Undertaker on this show, period. So that was a little weird with him defending the title the night before. It's not like he got beat up or beaten down.
And setting up his big SummerSlam match.
Yeah, that was part of it too. Just like, I know a lot of heat is still on Austin versus Hart Foundation, but yeah, I mean, we got, like I said, now after this one, we got 3 more weeks to go, so they better put it into overdrive going forward.
So the ring we go. It is time for the finals of our tag team tournament. The winner of this will take on Steve Austin and a partner of his choosing for the tag team titles next week. It is Farouk and D'Lo Brown taking on Owen Hart and the British Bulldog. Vince, Ross, and King debrief Bearer's comments while the nation comes out. No Ahmed, of course. Vince knows he's on the shelf. Vince also says Farouk believes the DOA is working on behalf of Undertaker to eliminate Ahmed Johnson. So that's still there. Bulldog and Owen head to the ring. Anvil and Pillman are with him. They get a big pop. The winner, again, will face Austin and his partner. Austin sitting backstage is kind of annoyed, says he doesn't care who his partner is. And that's that. Vince asks about Mankind. Austin says he deserves to get his ass kicked because he's a freak and he cares about nobody. He says this sucks. The WWF screws him anyway, so they can pick a partner, and then he just keeps ranting as Vince cuts him off. We go to a break. We get the Austin VHS ad. The bell sounds. Owen and Brown get going with some chain work. Owen dodges an elbow, tags Bulldog. Brown tags Farouk. We reset. Bulldog hits some slams. He sends Farouk hard to the mat with a clothesline. Brown lands a knee from the apron. The Nation double up, quick tag, and work over the Bulldog. Farouk dips his head. Bulldog spikes him to the mat. He can't tag D'Lo as D'Lo comes in right away, kicks away. Brown goes to work, picks up a near fall, goes to a chin lock. King says Brown grew up in the hood, but JR says no, he's a CPA and a college graduate. Bulldog eventually escapes, but the Nation have him in the soup. Vince says Sean will be on Raw next week in San Antonio. Farouk gets 2 on a scoop power slam, catches knees on a splash. D'Lo blocks the tag and hammers away. We get some hockey talk. King shits on Canada. Bulldog counters a pile driver with a backdrop. Both men tag. Owen comes in hot, cuts through Brown. The crowd is revving up a bit. Things spiral into a brawl on the floor. Owen slides in during the battle, and him and Bulldog win by countout. Mankind jogs to the ring in his Austin 316 shirt and says he and Austin will beat Bulldog and Owen next week. Silly finish. I guess the only thing you can say is like it plays off Owen being opportunistic like he was last night. He snuck in on Austin during the argument, and now here he reads the room and sneaks in for the countout win. So it's heat for that. I thought the match was fine. The crowd carried it. At the least, the change to D'Lo from Savio and Crush has raised the floor in ring for the Nation. He's at least, basic compared to them. So I went 2 1/4. I thought it was a fine tag. Just kind of a shoddy ending.
Yeah, I agree with most of that. I went 2 stars too. I mean, a decent TV match. And Farouk was fine, and I liked D'Lo as the kind of very junior member of the Nation team, but we still are needing kind of more juice to that, which we should be getting very soon into the Nation. But yeah, as of now, they feel kind of like a patsy team to make it to the finals. To be honest, like okay, you could say Farouk's been challenging, but D'Lo, like we don't know. So it seemed like it was pretty easy for him to eat a pin, or fall to something nefarious, which is what happened here.
Austin's still sitting in the same spot backstage. Vince asks about his match tonight. Austin shit talks Hunter in China, vows to win, and then tells Vince to shut up again. We got our Stridex triple action, which are clips of Mankind, Hunter, and China brawling last night. Vince then recaps what we saw to start the show, and we get our opening animation for hour 2. We then go back to the ring. Stone Cold Steve Austin takes on Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Austin stomps out defiantly to a mixed reaction, followed by Hunter and China. Hunter has a giant bandage on his forehead from last night's brawl with Mankind. We get some stills. We start the lockup, some strikes. Austin goes to a side headlock, counters an Irish whip, and mocks Hunter's curtsy. Works the arm. Hunter slips free. They trade right hands. Austin throws him hard to the floor. Follows out, hot shots him in the railing, snaps him across the top rope. Hunter floats over a suplex to a roll-up, but Austin mows him down with a lariat for 2, grabs a chancery. After the break, Austin loads Hunter onto the top rope, follows up, but Hunter blocks a suplex, throws Austin to the mat. Hunter leaps after him. Austin gets his boots up. Austin eats a boot on a charge, rallies back with an inverted atomic drop. Hunter sidesteps a charge, rallies back with a clothesline. Vince is shocked to hear the cheering for Hunter here. Austin barrels into Hunter with a Thez press, hammers away, and then lands another lariat. China puts a chair on the apron. China goes around and trips Austin, and Hunter meets him with a clothesline. Hunter grabs a chair as China ties up the ref. Mankind comes running down and gets on the apron, but Hunter smashes him with a chair. Hunter turns around and walks right into a stunner, and Austin gets the win. This is a fun match. I had a good flow and crowd engagement. Hunter chugged along. Austin's manic pacing kept it moving. China's scheme was well executed until Mankind got involved. I thought it pushed around like both angles at once. Hunter and Mankind trying to be Austin's partner. So I thought this is a good TV match. I went 3 stars.
Yeah, 3 stars would be a good TV match for sure. Worked well, progressed well, finished. I didn't have a huge problem with. I actually liked that they had Hunter get pinned here. It showed a good, clear hierarchy, and that Austin's now presented as one of the top guys. So that was good. Stuff with Mankind coming out was well done as well. These two guys, I don't know. I mean, with their later stuff, I don't necessarily consider them having like amazing chemistry with each other, but so far, what we've seen in kind of this weird, still technical, pre-gimmick, truly working era of these two together, they definitely showed they could have some good, solid matches.
Yeah, I mean the Buried Alive match was good, and this is good. All right, Hunter and China leave as Austin grabs the mic. He tells Mankind to get up. He says, "You're a long-haired freak, and one chair shot can never keep you down." Mankind crawls in as Austin says he comes out every week and says, "Pick me, Steve. Pick me, Steve." And Austin's going to lay it on the line. He doesn't like him one bit, but he'll go to war with him. If Mankind shakes his hand, they'll be a team. Mankind wants a hug instead, and Austin hugs him, but then kicks him and hits him with a stunner and says, "DTA, don't ever trust anybody. And you'll never be my partner because you're a long-haired freak and you suck." Austin leaves and Mankind barks out and says he wants respect and a friend. And Austin ruined all that. And it becomes apparent that I'll now need to take drastic measures. And next week, he'll do something he never thought he would do again. And the WWF, both Steve Austin, the World Wrestling Federation, and Mankind will never be the same. So this is fine too. Austin proves again he only gives a shit about himself. We get some ambiguity. Is Mankind threatening to be more heelish? Or we're going to go in a different direction? Where's that going to lay out? So I thought this was, a good little post-match beat too.
Yeah, agreed. And it sets up a little carrot for next week without totally giving it away, which was nice. And overall, I mean, the tag division's kind of out of that doldrum era. So the WWF tag division's got a lot better, a lot more interesting. So that's good.
Sonny sachets to the ring to a pop to do ring introductions for the next match as Vince goes over the rules of the SummerSlam $1 Million Chance contest. We go to Sable on a bathtub. A room service delivers a platter of chocolate-covered strawberries and tells us the second clue is 2A. So there's your second clue. To the ring we go for some lightweight action as Brian Christopher takes on Eric Shelley. Sonny says Shelley represents all of Canada, but he's already in the ring. She says Christopher oozes sex. We get clips from last week of Lawler and Christopher beat down Scott Putski. And Vince tells us that next week in San Antonio, Ivan Putski has issued a challenge for a tag team match with him and his son against Lawler and Christopher. King is shocked that Ivan's still alive and accepts. King rips off some Polish jokes, of course, as Christopher clothesline Shelley. Shelley gets a monkey flip and an armbar. They get some chain work. Ross talks about Eric's dad, Lynn Kojak Shelley. And Ross says, we're going to have a father-son matchup next week. King dodges out, of course. This makes more Polish jokes. Shelley goes to a roll-up for 2, goes to the arm, knocks Christopher to the floor, launches a very slow-motion rolling plancha, and Christopher just watches him splatter outside. Back of the ring, Christopher hits a missile drop kick and stomps away. King is pouring on the jokes. Shelley gets a standing drop kick. He throws Christopher to the corner, but misses a charge. Christopher hits a slop drop off the middle rope and finishes with the Tennessee Jam. King gets in the ring and they beat up Shelley and they talk shit to the Buskies. This sucked. Shelley was slop. Christopher did what he could, but the whole thing was messy. King again was obnoxious. Took away from the match. I went 1.25 stars. That fucking plancha, like it was so bad. And Christopher just sat there and watched him. I don't know if Shelley was like a Hart trainee guy that they tossed a bone or what the hell he was, but no bueno for this guy.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up. I mean, he definitely had to be a favor up there. Somebody trained him hard. If Storm was already training, something like that. He was bad for sure. And that roll up attempt he does, and it's in a cross body, that was awful. And again, we talked about it. Okay, if this is your lightweight division that's trying to get off the ground running, they picked some horrible talent and some horrible matches to be some of the face of it. Because
this should be on Shotgun. Throw this on Shotgun. Keep raw for your Sasuke and your Taka. For right now, show them. And we've said the last few weeks, why they didn't just give the bag to Michinoku Pro and say, just come be our division with a couple other players. It's pretty obvious,
Yeah, because this I thought was real bad. I mean, Shelley stunk, Christopher can't carry a match, and King was unbearable on commentary. So you had like the three worst aspects all converging into one match.
Vince shows some classic Putski footage and loves naming all the old guys. You know, he gets all off on those dudes. Ross runs down the upcoming shows this weekend: Dallas, El Paso, Austin, and then San Antonio for Raw with the return of Shawn Michaels. Vincent says in 2 weeks we're back in Canada as we'll be in Halifax for Raw. So we're flip-flopping around to keep the angle cooking, which is a cool touch. We get clips from Austin talking shit to various people from the VHS, and then he heads to the ring. He is all over these Raws. Like we've talked about that. They are running him out there. He joins Vince. Ross thinks Austin may stun Vince tonight, and that excites the King. Vince talks about Canadian Stampede. We get some footage. Austin knows there'll be a different reaction next week in Texas, and the Canadians can cuff him all they want, but they won't shut him up. And he'll say what he wants when he wants. Vince asks about his partner next week. Austin says he doesn't care. Vince just keeps asking me like a jackass. A fan throws something in the ring. Austin turns and says, I'll whip your ass. Austin says he doesn't make a choice. Gorilla Monsoon will exercise his right to choose a partner for him, and he's okay because Gorilla hasn't exercised his tub of guts body in 30 years. He'll keep the belts by himself regardless of partner. Vince asks about a SummerSlam match, and Austin says, last night, Owen may have pinned me, that if he wants to put in the contract, if he gets beat, Owen can pull down his tights and his panties, and he'll kiss his bare ass in the middle of the ring. Austin reiterates the stip and then stomps off. So we got 2 steps on these 2 matches. If Brett loses to Undertaker, he will never wrestle in America again. And if Austin loses to Owen, he'll kiss his ass on TV.
Yeah, this is the one to me that really goes a bit too far, and actually, sadly, almost really burns them with what happens in that match. But I just didn't think it was needed. I thought there was enough heat between these two that you didn't have to have that. It was like an added juice stipulation, and based on where they presented Austin, like, I mean, he's not going to lose. So it's kind of
they
an
should have
annoying
just done like
stipulation.
a 3 out of 5 deal, maybe like where if the Hearts don't win 3 out of, I guess maybe give Anvil a match on the pre-show or some stupid thing. But like if the Hearts don't win 3 out of 5, they have to disband, or you could do something like
Right,
that too.
right. Yeah, that'd been interesting and cool. Promo was good. I mean, the jokes on Gorilla was good. He's yelling at Vince more, which is funny, but I mean, they really had animosity with each other a while before the full blown Mr. McMahon character. So,
Oh, and we're only
fun.
a month out from MSG. Like I think we're
Yeah,
like 5
right,
weeks from MSG or whatever.
right,
So.
right.
All right. We get a quick promo from Goldust. He promises to take down the Hitman tonight, and that is our next match. It's our main event. It is Bret the Hitman Hart taking on Goldust. Goldust saunters out solo. Marlene is still home with Dakota. We get footage of Goldust and Marlena cooking on the Home and Family Show with Mike Berger and Christina Ferreira from the Family Channel. If nothing said more 1997 than the Home and Family Show on the Family Channel, which I believe, did that become ABC Family, right?
Yeah, that was like, it was the Family Channel, then it was ABC Family, then the Freeform or whatever. Eventually.
Yeah, Freeform.
But this was, well, they said it was on the Family Channel.
Yeah, they said the Family Channel.
See, I get this, and what was it on TNT, like Crooked and Chase or some nonsense? I get those two mixed up.
I remember Dinner and a Movie. That's about it on TBS.
Well, that's TBS. But I mean, this was bad, especially when like, and they mentioned it on Nitro that Luger was on Regis and Kathy Lee. When you're comparing somebody being on Regis and Kathy Lee to this like homely family, talking head show.
Well, they're definitely just trying to put her over there. Like, I think it's more of the like
domesticated,
humanizing Goldust some more, right? Like,
I thought he was making biscuits, but then the graphic at the bottom said tea cake, so it was a little weird. Looked like he was making biscuits to me.
Yeah. All right, so to the ring we go. Bret chugs out to Hero's Welcome. We get the clips from last night. Goldust meets him at the bell. They spill outside. Bret's hammering away, stomps low, back inside. Bret continues to batter Goldust as JR notes that Stu Hart is backstage and talks about the legacy of the families. Goldust goes to the eyes, slugs away. Bret comes back with a headbutt, works the back. Ross and Vince recap the steps for SummerSlam from earlier. Bret slams Goldust, goes low. hangs Goldust in the trio. Whoa, stomps away as we hear the bikes revving up, and the DOA ride to ringside and circle around. And Vince wonders who's in trouble with the gang as Goldust and Brett spill outside. Goldust knocks down Brett, pitches him back in the ring. Out come the Hearts. We get a break. We get the SummerSlam Memories ad again. When we come back, the Hearts and DOA are all circling the ring as Goldust slings Brett back outside. They trade punches. They weave around the traffic before heading to the back into the ring. Brett sticks a backbreaker, pelts a second rope elbow for 2. Goldust comes firing back, gets 2 on an elbow drop, goes to a chin lock. Brett powers out of the hold. LOD and Shamrock head to ringside now. King thinks they have Goldust back, maybe. Goldust hits a flying clothesline for 2, goes back to a chin lock, hammers away at the midsection. Goldust eats a boot on a charge as Austin's on the ramp. Brett gets 2 on a suplex, but they keep trading punches. Goldust tries a sunset flip. Brett drops down and cradles and gets the clean win. The Hearts pour in the ring and watches back, and no one else really does anything. LOD, DOA, they all just kind of stand around Shamrock. It was cool to see Brett get a clean TV win again in Canada. Goldust gave him something to work with. It was also cool having the combustible elements around the ring, even though we had nothing out of it. Just kind of shows this gang mentality is kind of taking over. DOA again, like being out here in the main event, like, you know, what are they doing? Like, where are they being used? Are they out there repping Taker against Brett? Like, it felt that's what they were hinting at. So the build to SummerSlam has begun, and we'll see how it progresses. I went 2.5 on the match.
Yeah, 2.5 for me. Maybe slightly disappointed in the match because of it was given enough time, but wasn't given an overly amount of time, and you still had like Goldust locking in chin locks and whatever. A lot of the extracurricular stuff took me out of the match a good bit too, like the DOA. I mean, at this point in time, we have no reason for why they're out there. Like, they just all of a sudden, like, you're 3 minutes in, you see the bikes fire up and they're circling the wagons, and then you have the LOD and all Shamrock come out. So, I mean, it's a big clusterfuck and everything, and that's well and good. But match itself, I kind of would have liked to see them go with a full sprint for 7 minutes and see what they could have produced. And the finish was clever. It was kind of like the Davey Boy Hart finish from SummerSlam '92. So they just recycled it back. I mean, it's still a successful main event. Just a bit too cluttered for my liking. The DOA just fell out of place. Like, they should not be surrounding this ring in a main event angle, even if they are protected Taker.
All right, a few comments ish. Pussies are hideous, maybe the worst wrestling family.
Agreed.
Not wrong. Everett 922's MSG. Yeah, so we're more like 6 weeks away or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our awards for Raw.
Over 8 weeks. Yeah.
No, yeah, my math's tough.
8 to 10. Yeah.
That's right. September, not August. All right. Match of the night for me for Raw was Sasuke Taka.
I'm tempted to. I'll go Sasuke Taka, but I'm tempted to go Goldust. Not Goldust. Triple H and
Austin.
Yeah.
All right. For the moment, I want that opening where Austin wipes out the Hearts while they're doing the national.
Yeah. I think Austin with the chair slinging, that was the highlight of the show for me at the beginning of the program. I mean, it seems like we're definitely coming into the era of the long promos to start off too. Like, this one was probably close to about 15 minutes. So that's definitely something that's trended here, is they're gonna have the opening promo.
I went Austin as MVP. I mean, he had that moment, he had the promo, he had a good match. Kind of felt like his night.
Yeah, I thought overall he was very solid.
Yep. No shots fired. I mean, unless you count the SummerSlam Memories, but that wasn't really a shot fired. I mean,
yeah,
kind of bait and switch, I guess.
Yeah, not too overtly. A lot of shots fired at the Japanese culture from King Christopher during that match, but yeah, nothing against WCW.
Debuts, I believe, was just Mr. Eric Shelley. I think that's our only one.
And he actually comes back. I had to look it up, so he has one more match for us in November.
Can't wait. And then I went 6 out of 10 on the show. Like, I think it's still better than the past Raws. You know, again, not maybe as great as memory serves. I think a lot of in the time was just so much more exciting and lively. So everything felt wake, but looking back for sure, like they're still figuring shit out. They're still throwing stuff at the wall. So the lightweight, they're giving the lightweights like a ton of time, but it's just not great. So right now, Austin Hunter was good. I liked that they set up the SummerSlam matches. That was good. But so anyway, it felt like the beginning of an episodic climb to SummerSlam. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean 6.5 for me. I think on Raw we usually don't get any good matches. This one we had 2 good ones, and even stuff like the main event was not bad. So that was a plus for me. I thought Austin was really great throughout the show. I thought Owen was really great. Bulldog Brett was good too. So overall, I think they're big players delivered on this show. It's just still some of the smaller stuff like what to do with Sonny, the light heavyweight division. Nation of Domination feels a little low rent right now. So that's some stuff they still have to clean up.
All right, we're gonna head over to Nitro, and if you're watching on video, we're gonna plow through. But Chad Lee's under the weather; he's not feeling too great, so he's off video. We get the great Lee Marshall in here.
WWF technical difficulties.
Yes, we have. But Calamity Chad at his best. He's gonna stay with us and push through here. So I'm gonna handle the play-by-play duties for Nitro as well here. Mix it up a little bit. But let's go. July 7th, 97 Nitro. We open with the end of last week's episode. Sting descended from the sky to protect Diamond Dallas Page from the NWO. We also have the surprise debuts of Curt Hennig and Raven. And Tony wonders if either will be DDP's mystery partner at the Bash. We get our opening animation. Mean Gene is in the aisle. Welcomes us to the legendary Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee. And right away brings out Curt Hennig, who gets kind of a mixed reaction. Gene makes some gambling jokes and says maybe it's a coincidence that Hennig was in Vegas at the same time as WCW, but not tonight. Hennig jokes about the Clampets, and Gene asks if he's in WCW or not. And Hennig says he's the greatest wrestler from the state of Minnesota, and he is in WCW, and he has his reasons to be here. Gene asks about the Bash, and could Hennig be collaborating with somebody for that event? Hennig says he will be at Bash of the Beach and will participate in some form, and Gene just assumes that means he's Page's partner. But Hennig says, don't jump to conclusions. I'm a free agent, and no one should take the word free lightly. Ric Flair and a random broad power walk out. He hugs Hennig and hypes him up. Flair says Hennig is here to join the Horsemen. Hennig kind of, whoa, I didn't say that. And says he'll be at the Bash, and that's it. Flair keeps pushing him, gives him the dame as a gift, and dances around. And then Flair and the chick drag Hennig off. But Hennig keeps saying, like, I'm not committing to anything. I'll be at the Bash. So Hennig is here. He's officially official, but we're not really getting any insights into the why, Chad.
Yeah, overall, interesting, I'd say, start here. But then you got the big name of Curt Hennig, and then he kind of immediately craps on the crowd a little bit, so he gets some boos. I always like when they're in the Mid-South Coliseum, but Flair comes out and basically begs for him to join the Horsemen again. And the main thing I did really like about this is it felt like we just saw this with Jeff Jarrett, and that did not end well either. So I don't know. I mean, like we talked about, like Flair being the man and stuff like that. It's just you never would have seen him so desperate like 5 or 6 years ago to get somebody to join the Horsemen. So that's it's still a little disappointing to see. It feels very old school.
I mean, Hennig and Flair at least have like the relationship. Like the Jarrett one's kind of weird because they don't really like Hennig's his boy from the WWF, right? So like, it should have been more of an assumption than a beg, like kind of like, oh, I know you're here. Do you want to be a Horseman? All right, I'll think about it. He could have taken that approach more. To the ring we go for tag team action to start us off. Public Enemies taking on Harlem Heat. Enemies strut out with a table. Larry and Tony try to sort out Hennig's ties and where they could lead him. We talk about the sports world, the internet, in on Dennis Rodman. Tony discusses his book. Harlem Heat's out with Sherry. Tenay says Hennig is the most valuable free agent in wrestling history. Which maybe, I don't know. The announcers continue to break down the psychology of the Bash main event as Grunge and Booker start. They mix it up with strikes. Tony says this is a rematch from Saturday night when Vincent came out and cost the Heat. Grunge gets a neck breaker for 2. Harlem Heat takes over. Tony discusses these teams jockeying for position behind the Steiners. Heat pound away on Rock and pick up some near falls. Rock escapes and tags out. Grunge walks right into a punch, and Heat keep control with their usual power offense. Rock tags and Public Enemy double up, but Booker comes in and wrecks both guys with a lariat. Vincent's out. Sherry stops Booker from landing the Big Apple and has him chase Vincent instead. Stevie fights off Public Enemy, loads up a powerbomb on Grunge, but Rock goes up top, and Sherry shoves Rock off and he falls into Stevie and falls on top of him for the win. Not much here, just a match to sow the troubles between Sherry and Harlem Heat. We'll talk about that in a second. And Public Enemies, we've kind of talked about them like refocusing, taking a serious approach. That's been the talking point, and they pick up another win. The match was definitely clunky. This one a 1.5 stars. I usually like the WCW Tag Division quite a bit, but this one felt a little off.
Yeah, 2 stars for me. Kind of a weird match, I would say. Like, Public Enemies really starting to feel very one note in this promotion, and Harlem Heat, they're basically getting rid of Sherry. This is kind of her swan song, so the way they do that kind of feels very abruptly, where they on commentary they're saying, "Well, they're really fighting and they keep fighting." It was like, this is the first we've seen it. Now you're like kicking her to the curb, and of course, because it's WCW, they're syndicated. I think both on Pro and Worldwide, Harlem Heat has matches this upcoming weekend, and Sherry's just right there with them, like nothing happened. So completely dummy.
Definitely not known for giving a shit about those things, for sure.
Yeah. The one line on commentary as they were hyping up matches beats that I loved was today asking Larry if Rodman had an advantage because they had like no videotape to scout or whatever. And Larry just went, "What? That's dumb." He basically shot down any notion that Rodman would have any advantage in the ring. Vince's comes out. He always gets beat up, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, this was mainly just here to kick Sherry to the curb. So 2 stars.
And that's what we do. Gene hops in the ring. Harlem Heat gives Sherry the business. They threaten to have her step off the team if she can't get her shit together. Sherry quits and stomps off. And Stevie says the team of Harlem Heat and Sherry is now over. And that was a sudden departure. And I think this is it, right? Does she ever come back?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. She had supposedly drug issues and whatnot. So yeah, she left the building pretty quickly. Gene, when he comes in for the interview, he calls. He asked Sherry. He said, "Did you send Booker T to go after Virgil? I mean, Vincent." So we had another one. We had Virgil step aside a few months ago, and now we got Gene calling him Virgil. I mean Vincent. So never fails to crack me up.
So does Sherry is she gone until like that 2005 when she shows up for the build of Michaels and Angle? Like, I can't think of anything else she does.
Yeah, she was doing some indie stuff because she's at IWA Mid-South
Right.
a couple of times before that, especially 2001. She's at IWA Mid-South and looks good, like looks well and put together. So, but yeah, as far as anything mainstream, I don't think so from now till.
Looks like she has a few appearances in 2000. In WCW, January 2000. It's just quick. It's like three appearances, and then she's IWA Mid-South. Yeah, does some indie stuff, and I think until 05. So this is it. It's kind of crazy. It came up fast. I feel like feels like she's there more.
Yeah, like supposedly she had pretty big demons and just couldn't cope with them. So yeah.
So she had like a 3-year run basically. Didn't she show up like summer '94 basically with Flair?
Yeah, right around when Hogan comes in because she transitions very quickly to being Flair's manager.
Right. So all right, end of an era. We get a video package for Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan. Then we go to the ring as Conan takes on Joe Gomez. Gomez lumbers out. We get the discussion on Sherry quitting. We also get clips from last week where Conan broke Rey Mysterio's leg, and Tony wonders if that means he's joining the NWO. Conan has light jeans on, and it looks weird. I was very unsettled. It's like that Seinfeld when Kramer wears the jeans. It was very odd. The only use of the black jeans on Conan. He mugs and dismantles Gomez. Gomez gets a brief glimmer of hope. We get a lot of talk about Ray. We see that Raven is ringside again. Tenay says he wants to try and talk to him again and says he's known for an organization known for violence is where he comes from. So it's like, come on. Like on Raw, we have them talking about these guys. And then over here, he's like, he comes from a place known for violence. Conan wins easily, threatens breaking Gomez's leg, but leaves. Usual slot from Gomez. Conan is not one to make it any better. This is just him to get a win and put over his aggressive style. So 0.5 star for me.
Yeah, it's a star, but not a good match. Larry tries to muster up. This is a huge chess game, but if this look more like checkers than chess, in my opinion. Yeah, Conan with the tequila sunrise again, and Yeah, they keep teasing like, yeah, he's going somewhere. I guess the Dungeon of Doom, for all intents and purposes, is essentially dead by this point.
Yeah, I
We
think
haven't
so.
really
Especially
seen
with
them together
Sullivan
at all.
headed to retirement in a week. Like, I think
Right.
they were clearly done. For once, though, they're forthcoming about Conan, which is cool. Like he says, that maybe he's going there, and then he does. So, like for once, it's like not a mystery. It's like, well, it seems like he's working with them. So
I want to think. I'll have to look up when he actually turns because it does feel
it's
like
soon. It's like
okay, got it,
week away, pretty
got it.
much. I think it happens
Okay.
pretty fast. All right, we stay in the ring for a tag team action. We have Viano 4 and Viano 5 taking on Juventud Guerrera and Hector Garza. Garza and Juvi follow out the Vianos, but all we're talking about here is the Bash main event. That's it. Today gives some backgrounds. This is the debut of Viano 5. He says the word is WCW is trying to assemble another wild six-man lucha match for Sunday's show. We get some basic lucha tag work here. All four guys rotating in and out at a hectic pace. The Vianos take over. We get some quick double team offense, including a nice hot shot on Garza. Tony wonders how you could tell the Vianos apart. And today says that the numbers are right on the tights. It's one of the easiest mass teams to tell apart. Garza and Juvi rally and work together. They lead to a Pier 6 and a sweet springboard leg lariat by Juvi, where he floats to the floor. Juvi tries a second one, but gets smashed by a powerbomb by Viano 5 for a near fall. That really looked like it hurt. No real extended heat here. Just a flow of counters until Juvi meets 5 with a suicide dive. Garza gets 2 on a moonsault. We ramp up for there with some good near falls, but the Vianos have some miscommunication. They end up outside. Garza meets 4 with a corkscrew dive, and Juvi finishes 5 with a brainbuster and picture-perfect 450 splash. I thought it started wonky, but I thought they oiled up nice toward the end. The Vianos are always solid. They had some good base and power stuff, and Juvi really popped off the screen, I thought, on his side. Garza was fine. Went 2 3/4 in this.
Yeah, I really like this match. This is kind of the type of match I've been looking for on Nitro. Just given enough time, well executed, has the crowd into it based on how well they're kind of throwing themselves at each other. So overall, I went 3 stars here, very strong 3 stars at that. Yeah, it'd be Tony lets us know Hogan's in the building. They're talking about Bash the Beat, so that's a little disappointing that they're focused so much, but then they finally shut up and go to the match because they have to because it's such well done here. And I like that. I mean, this is a Memphis crowd, so they probably weren't too enthused to see these guys walk through the
Mm-hmm.
curtain, but by the end, they really became fans of them. The Hoovy Viano catching Garza with the power bomb towards the back spread stretch that looked good. Um, and then the big dives all looked very dangerous and well done. Movie Driver was done well. Garza didn't seem to kill himself on the corkscrew plancha here. So just overall for kind of thrown together tag match, I thought it was one of the better Nitro matches in the last month or so. 3 stars.
The NWO music hits and interrupts the crew as out comes Scott Hall, Randy Savage, and Elizabeth to the booth. Tony and Tenay leave. Larry stands his ground, sits stoically. Savage lays on the table. It's a pretty classic image. Hall grabs the mic and tells Larry to take off with the other jabrones. Larry calls them the Worm Pack and pretends to be offended. Hall says Hollywood Hogan and Dennis Rodman are going to take care of Giant and Luger. But before that, we have a special treat when Hall and Savage will team up for one night only to take out that mid-card jabron DDP. And they don't care who his partner is because they guarantee he's going down in Daytona. Savage is a surprise not working because they're taking them very lightly. And at Bash of the Beach, it's NWO all the way. The fans like to see the NWO on the video scope so they can stay tuned to see Savage give a wrestling lesson. Hall wraps things up. Savage says his table's pretty comfortable, and Larry stands tall as Hall, throws the mic at him, and walks away. So pretty much a last State of the Union pitch for the tag at Bash of the Beach, and we find out Savage is going to give a wrestling lesson here tonight. You with us?
Yeah. Sorry. I faded out.
That's all right. You good?
I don't know.
All right. Chad's back with us. What do you got?
Yeah, so I like this. I like this segment. I thought it was good to have Larry kind of stand his ground. We talked about that. Macho laying on the table was pretty iconic looking. That looked well too. And then I liked that they told Hall told Larry he could take off with the other two jabrones. And when Savage says that was an upset Larry, you figured it out. So Larry was very obnoxious here, but that actually works and plays off Hall like supremely well. And Savage is a good dude. I've enjoyed the Savage Hall kind of teaming for the past month or so. And then, yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this was very funny, and yeah, I mean,
And they get good
good stuff.
chemistry. It's good to like mix it up a little bit, so it's not always Hall and Nash. So, and it gets Savage to show like a little bit more of the comedic stuff, you know.
Yeah. The toothpick throw always pissed Larry off so much. He always got fired up.
Hates it.
Yeah.
Saturday night, we got Chavo Guerrero, I believe, DDP, Public Enemy. Eddie,
yep.
Okay. Eddie Guerrero, DDP, Public Enemy, and Chris Jericho. Luger and Giant then narrate their road to Bash of the Beach starting at World War III. So it's a decent little video. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I thought this was pretty basic, but I thought it was well done in that it kind of told the whole story from World War III, where Giant was still a heel against Luger, kind of that whole like 6 or 7 NWO 1 segment that we saw at the end of the Battle Royal, to the Spring Stampede sacrifice, and overall, I thought it did a good job in showing kind of some growth for the Giant in that time frame, and gave him some humility too. So
yeah, definitely.
This was a good package.
Total package.
Yeah.
The NWO B team theme fires up as out comes our favorites, Vicious and Delicious, Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton. Larry's still fuming over what just happened. We get more talk about Bash of the Beach. The Guerreros are out. It's Eddie and Chavo to take on Vicious and Delicious. We get clips from last week where Eddie beat Dean Malenko with help from Chavo. Eddie has a headband on. He's barking lessons to Chavo as they come down the aisle. Before the bell, we cut outside and a limousine's pulling in. We come back to the ring. Buff and Chavo get going. Buff is pretty good preening around here as Chavo regroups between strikes. Tony says Nash and Six are not here tonight during a Chavo flurry, but Buff goes to the eyes, tags Norton, who beats Chavo around. Eddie comes in. Norton takes them both over with a double suplex in a really cool-looking spot. Tenay talks about Vicious and Delicious working in Japan the last few months as Eddie tries to avoid coming in off the tag, but eventually accepts. Buff gets a strong press slam and a stun gun and tags Norton. Now Eddie's in the soup. Eddie eventually tags Chavo. They bicker, which allows Buff to nail him from behind. Chavo tries to tag back out, but Eddie steps to the floor and walks away and says it's time for Chavo to become a man. Vicious and Delicious beat down Chavo for a bit. They work some fun power stuff in as Eddie watches, and then Norton picks up Chavo during a pin, keeping up the abuse, including sticking a hard powerbomb, and they finish with a double team blockbuster. And I thought this was pretty fun. Like, I had the story stuff mixed in with Eddie continuing to go to the dark side, sacrificing his cousin, and Vicious and Delicious get to show off their new offense in style. So I went 2 3/4, Chad. I thought this was pretty fun.
Yeah, 2 3/4 for me too. This felt definitely in the vein of the Brainbusters versus Strike Force WrestleMania 5
exactly.
match. But Vicious and Delicious, man, they're really rolling. Like, Bagwell was completely in his bag for this match, strutting around, being just obnoxious as hell. So that was good. Eddie was great, and the after the great double T moves from Norton that you called out, he crawls under I think Buff's legs and immediately makes a tag to Chavo. So that was really funny. Today lets us know that both Norton and Buff are going to be in the G1 Climax coming up for New Japan. So I looked at the brackets there. Buff actually ended up getting a bye. I don't know why, but he loses his first matchup.
It's the same as the number 1 seed in that tournament, the playoffs that we had. Bullshit bye.
It actually does look like that because we were almost on a collision course for a Vicious and Delicious colliding in the G1 Climax. If Buff could have beat Kinsuke, then been him versus Norton on that side of the bracket. So we missed out on that. But yeah, I mean, overall, this definitely is used as a progressor of the storyline, but the in-ring match as a extended squash is very well done. The clotheslines are vicious and delicious, in fact. And the back suplexes are done well. That assisted blockbuster in the finish looks really good too. Like it looks, it's kind of flashy, but also dangerous. And overall, this worked for me as a segment. I went 2 3/4.
And Reggie says Vicious Delicious, an all-time tag name, which I agree with. We get hour 2 kicking off. Bobby's at the booth. He wants his seat, but Larry is refusing to leave. And Bobby's like, okay. So he gets a 4th headset and joins the crew, even though he's aggravated. But Larry's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to hang around for a minute. To the ring we go as the Macho Man Randy Savage is headed out, and he's going to take on La Parca, who, of course, joins us here tonight, as always. Parca hits the ring. We get a highlight reel of his recent chair-based actions. Out comes the Macho Man with Scott Hall and Elizabeth. They stop at the booth. They're trying to bait Larry as they head to the ring. Parca struts around, and we tease a lockup. We ease in with some chain work. Bobby's struggling with the new headset, which is funny. Savage controls the pace and lands some quick strikes. Parca gets a roll-up for 2, but eats a clothesline as Hall tiptoes toward the booth to mess with Larry. Savage looks over at the booth and slowly picks up Parca and slams him and goes up top. But as he comes down, Parca gets his feet up on the big elbow and hits the diamond cutter, rips off the mask. It is not La Parca. It is Diamond Dallas Page, and he gets the win. DDP escapes through the crowd as Hall sprints to the back. Larry says he's going to leave now. So kind of hints at it was a ruse with him and Page, and he was in on it. So that's why he stuck around. This is an all-time Nitro angle. It's pretty infamous. It was really well executed. And I think Page and Parca are both similar in height. So, like, it wasn't super obvious. I thought they did it well, and he sandbagged it enough, like, until the very ending part. And it was a good final salvo from Page to get one over on the NWO, which he's done a few times now. So I went 2 stars on the match itself, but I think it's a great angle.
Yeah, I just went 3 stars just because it's so memorable. I think Parca is incredible as Page. Like Page does just enough to where nobody suspects that it's heel, but it's so well done. Like you can see from the crowd reaction. Like if you just pause and look at different people in the crowd when he hits the diamond cutter, it's one of those things where people come to the realization of what's happening, and then the arena just erupts. Hall was magnificent, like actually celebrating once he enters the bell ring. He walks away from the announce booth with his arms raised high, and then realizes what happens and comes down in a hurry. And then Larry, Larry was great again, refusing to give his seat up to Bobby, and then just continuing to rile up Hall and by proxy the NWO. With the building of the new construction of a new angle here. It really feels like we're headed to a collision course between now Hall and Larry, and that all of a sudden feels like a money match.
I would have been surprised too if, like, I'm surprised they didn't hint at it more that Larry could be the partner for Page after this. They don't really hint at it, but I would have been cool if Tony threw it out there, like, hey, maybe Larry's working with DDP. Maybe he'll be in the ring.
He could even say, like, you're still, a licensed or non-retired wrestler, right, Larry? Or something like that. Yeah, sure.
All right. Stay in the ring. It's a big lucha night here tonight as Psychosis and Silver King take on Glacier and Ernest Miller. Sonny Ono leads out Silver King and Psychosis. The lights dip and the snow falls as Glacier and Miller are in. We get more talk about Bash at the Beach, more talk about Page's partner. We go backstage where Chavo and Eddie are brawling. We come back. Glacier is trying to control Psychosis, but things get sloppy quickly. All 4 to start fighting and meandering in the ring. Miller hits a springboard double clothesline to take over. Pepper strikes at Psychosis. Goes to an ankle lock, but Silver King saves. Miller fights off with Psychosis. Come back with a big choke slam, but Mortis and Wrath are in immediately to brawl and get the DQ. All 6 fight around the ring. Psychosis gets a corkscrew moonsault during the chaos, and they fight to the break. The match was really nothing. It was chaotic. The post-match was fine, just adding extra juice to the tag at the pay-per-view. I just went 3/4 of a star. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, I would have star. I thought this was a mess too. I did like the fight in the back between Eddie and Chavo. That looked really intense. But overall, in this match, it was just too much sloppy action. Catch karate didn't feel like dialed in. So some strikes looked good, and some strikes you could tell he was definitely like holding up, so they looked very weak and fake by proxy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the post match I really didn't like, where Morrison and Raph come out, which we knew was going to happen, but again, Cat and Glacier seem to have the advantage of Morrison and Raph.
Yeah.
And that just shouldn't happen, especially with Cat. Like this is essentially his first official match right here. So that should be happening. And then on top of that, like all of a sudden Psychosis and Silver King get involved.
Yeah, what are they doing? They should be gone.
Yeah, I mean that came out of even more left field than the DOA right now in the main event of the Brett Goldust main event. Like it made no sense for Psychosis and Silver King to get involved. Maybe because they're in Sonny Ono's camp, but overall this was a mess and too convoluted. So only a star.
Stagger Lee is in Orlando, the home of the Magic, and their new coach, Chuck Daly. And that took me by surprise. Like, oh, fuck, old Chuck. I think is that his final run in Orlando?
Gotta be. Like, or did he end up in like, I don't know why I see him in like Minnesota, but maybe.
Well, he was on the Nets before this, right? Because he in there in the early 90s. And then the Pistons, obviously, was like the big one, right?
Yeah, New Jersey. And then he was gone for three
years.
seasons.
Yeah.
And then two years here in Orlando. And
then he's gone.
It's really crazy. Like he's an interesting case as a coach, right? Because he only coached like 14 years and won 2 championships. And then, like those bad boy Pistons, they lost the NBA Finals in '88, won back-to-back years, and then of course lost in the conference finals to the Bulls. So
that was it. Yeah,
I mean, could have had essentially a dynasty if they'd won that first NBA Finals versus the Lakers. Lost in the conference finals the year before that too. So had that like peak window, and then he just never was that successful coach after that.
Well, Ish says fuck Chuck Daly, so there you go.
There you go.
And the Lakers are hurt in '89. But so he got fired from Detroit. I mean, I guess like only like it was pretty quick. Like after they won the title.
Lost in the conference finals, lost in the first round the next year. They went 40-34. And then 92-93s with the New Jersey Nets. They go 43-39. So I don't know if he got fired or just decided.
Maybe he just moved on. He was the Dream Team coach in '92 as well.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so I don't know if it doesn't really say if he got fired or he just left. Maybe this offered him more money or something. Maybe he was fighting with who knows.
You say that sometimes. Like he knew the window was closed. So
and then he was an announcer before coming back to the Magic. The Knicks offered him a job too in summer '95. So there you go.
Sure.
All right. So Lee says they're having a Disney-style Nitro party and hypes up the bash. Lee says he went to Disney, but he couldn't find the attractions for It's a Small Weasel in Alice in Weaselland. Bobby says he's an idiot that looks like Tony Orlando. Sure. I don't know. Maybe laugh. Gene's in the aisle. He brings out Ric Flair. He's got the same girl from earlier. He formally apologizes to Gene and the fans because on Saturday night, my screen jumped. On Saturday night, he said Roddy Piper would never show up in Memphis, but he lied. He's here. The bagpipes fire up, and Ric Flair calls him out and pulls off a blanket on something that's in the aisle, and we see that it's a mannequin dressed as Piper. Gene calls it cockababy. Flair stooges around. He talks shit to the dummy. The girl asks Gene why they call him Hot Rod, and Flair lifts up the kilt. He shoots more on Piper, calls him a stiff. But the real Piper emerges, stands behind Flair as he's talking shit. Gene and the girl try and warn him. He says, "Oh, just wait till we get back to the Hilton." But then he realizes Piper's behind him. Flair scampers to the ring. Piper follows. They throw down. Piper strips down Flair to his boxers, whips him with his belt. Piper hooks the sleeper, but Benoit and Mongo are in to make the save. The Horsemen overwhelm Piper and leave him laid out. As we zoom out, we see someone's in the ring helping fight off the Horsemen, and we go to break. We don't see who. Good final heat build here. Anytime Piper doesn't talk, it's a plus. Like the brawl was hot. A good start for Sunday. Was that like a fan or like what the fuck happened there?
No, it was Jarrett.
Oh, it's Jarrett. All right, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know if they were supposed to show it. It was interesting
You
the
think it
way
was
they
like during the
did it.
break kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just supposed to be for the live audience or what. Because
Yeah, it was weird.
it's interesting how it's presented. First off, I mean the promo is very the whole thing here is very old school, which I liked from a nostalgic point of view. It did feel a little dated, like with the mannequin and stuff. And we talked about this last week with this whole feud. It's felt a little dated, I guess, with these two guys. It's definitely not like 1982 Jim Crockett Promotions, and they're firing on all cylinders. So that's a little disappointing. The woman that Flair had out here when she asked Gene why do they call him the hot rod? Like, I know I have a very deep Southern accent. This woman found a special place right into my heart with the way she delivers this line. Gene basically repeated it and said that was Southern for, where's hot rod or whatever. it was like, come on, Gene, what a dick. Yeah, then the brawl. I mean, it's classic Flair. Like, he's gonna get stripped down to his underwear. He's wearing some like lime green skivvies this time, and Horsemen come out. Eventually, the numbers game catch up to him, and there you go. So overall, I thought it was an effective segment. I'm interested to watch their match together and Bash to the Beach, but it did feel a little old. Oh, I'll say that it did feel a little old school, but yeah, they're really trying to get across like a chaotic feel this last hour of Nitro because you had the Eddie Chavo stuff, and then right before the kickoff, then even like the Mortis Raph versus Cat and Glacier stuff. Yeah, you had the luchadors get involved, and they were brawling as we went to break. Um, at the beginning of that match, you have kind of the to the back with Eddie and Chavo brawling together, and then this as well. So it's a very chaotic feeling last hour of Nitro here for sure.
Tenay's in the stands with Raven, asks a question, but again, Raven just sits there awkwardly. Stevie Richards hops the railing and smacks Tenay. It says Iron Mike cannot conduct an interview with his man Raven because he's the only one who talks to his good friend, the King of Swing, dancing Stevie Richards. Tenay tells Stevie to conduct the interview then, since they're former tag team champions. Stevie says everyone in Memphis knows how great he is and tells Mike, go ask one of the Mexicans about their favorite movie. Stevie squats down and says, I'm Raven's best friend, and asks him to tell the Memphis morons if he signed his WCW contract. Raven doesn't speak. So Stevie asks again, and this time Raven gets up and slaps him across the face and walks away. Tenay gets the mic, and Stevie barks at Tenay that he told you he doesn't want to do an interview, and then he walks away. So Stevie Richards has now arrived in WCW. And this was like definitely pissed off, I think, Heyman and ECW at the time. Like, they really stood behind this guy and hyped him up, and he was like in the middle of like a really big push, and he kind of had gotten hurt, obviously, but like he was in that world title mix around this time, and it was getting quite over. And this really derails his career for a while until he finds his way to the WWF and kind of rejuvenates with the RTC and all that stuff. But for a while, this seems like obviously you take the money if you're him, but it starts promising, but everything quickly spirals for him.
Yeah. This, I mean, it's an interesting debut.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, still a lot of intrigue, I'd say, and mystique around what's going on with all these guys showing up. I liked Stevie telling Tenay to scram. I thought that was a funny way he phrased that. And this is another, like, talking about like the crowds of the day. If you watch the crowd around Stevie and Raven here, and it's just, you don't get that crowd in modern day with the wrestling ticket prices, like riding the rail. Like maybe Cowboy and Ryder are the most degenerate you get riding the rail these days, because a lot of the people here look like it was, they were having the time of their life being this close to the action. So that was enjoyable to see.
All right. Well, we'll see where the King of Swing goes from here. I think bringing him in as a mouthpiece for Raven's like a fine idea until Raven starts talking himself. But we'll see
Yeah,
how it goes.
I mean, he does feel like a big enough name that if you know, it's like, oh, that's a cool, addition. And if you don't, he could kind of win you over, sure.
Yeah, and they were tag champions. Like I said, Stevie was a world title contender. Like he was like super hot when he got hurt.
Yeah.
At this
Yeah.
time. So I think he was on the verge of maybe winning the world. Like he was on fire until he went down. All right, main event is Chris Benoit and Steve Mongo McMichael taking on the Steiner brothers. Tony does confirm it was Jeff Jarrett that saved Piper earlier. Benoit and Mongo have Deborah with them. The Steiners rumble out, and after a break, Scott and Mongo start off. Tenay is back in the booth. Mongo withstands an initial flurry, gets a chop block. Tenay has news that Nitro will be in Denver on August 11th, and tickets are on sale this Friday. And Ric Flair and Bobby Heenan will be at Payless Drugs for a meet and greet. Also, next week, Nitro's in Orlando. Tickets are on sale still. And Tuesday, Nitro special in Jacksonville the week after. And then Nitro is in Philadelphia on the 26th. So that's a pretty big one to be in Philly. The Steiners take back over briefly. Benoit gets a tag and mauls Rick. The Horsemen double up in control, pushing through some Rick strikes. We get the hard sell for Bash of the Beach, hitting on all the matches. Rick snaps off a German. Mongo rolls outside. Scott meets him and works him over. We cut backstage where Savage is torturing Nick Patrick. And we find out that Patrick may have a broken hand or arm. He's screaming in pain. Scott hangs Benoit on the trio. Whoa! Chokes away and then hammers at Mongo. Hooks an STF on Benoit, which Tony says is a message directly at Masachono, which they're fighting on Sunday. Rick tags in and hooks the STF as well, and another nice touch. Things get wild late as Scott gets an overhead belly to belly off the top. Benoit comes off the top into him to block a pin. Rick and Benoit both tag, and that spirals into a brawl with bombs from all four guys, and it spills outside. Jarrett's down and attacks Mongo as Jimmy Hart's on the apron, tying up Benoit. Sullivan's in with a chair and smashes it on Benoit's head. Rick rolls in and covers Benoit for the win as Sullivan and Jackie fight to the back. Wild scene there, but a really fun match as expected with these guys. All sorts of big offense and bombs. It was chaotic. It was hectic. And we hit the two big feuds, not big feuds, but two feuds going to Bash of the Beach that didn't get the focus tonight yet. Sullivan and Benoit and the Steiners against Chono and Muta. And I went 3 1/4 on this.
Yeah, 3 stars though. A kind of beefy main event tag, but well done. I really liked the STF spot. That both of them did it. It's kind of like and that they called it out on commentary. So kudos for that. Some of the belly to belly overhead throws in this match were crazy impressive by the Steiners. That second rope belly to belly that Scott gives Mongo in particular, that looked great with Benoit coming off the top rope with a headbutt, kind of like a desperation headbutt at the same time. Yeah, so everything with the finish I thought worked well too, where the action spins to the outside, then Jarrett comes down, starts attacking him. Sullivan absolutely waylays Benoit with that wood chair that always looks great with a million pieces shattering everywhere. That Sullivan using the spike actually was a good callback to his Florida days, and him and Jacqueline coming at it as you go up the aisle. So a lot of stuff happening here in this match, but I thought overall it was all effective and did a good enough job of kind of a Bob Fest main event.
Ish asked about if the Steiners would have fared in 1997 WWE. We'll hit on that next episode. Ish, my man, I think is barely hanging on right here, so we're not going to sidebar, but we'll hit that because it's an interesting one.
Yes.
All right, we take a break. We come back. Oh God.
Sorry. I mean, there's a lot definitely options. I think is the quick answer for that, but I feel like they're excelling well right now in WCW too. Like, I mean, they're being positioned very well, and they have like a clear storyline perspective, and it's really setting up to this big blow off versus the Outsiders that honestly could have been. We'll get to it when we get to the fantasy booking and the match they end up doing and how they end up performing in that match and booking that match. But we know there's like the last clash is coming up around the corner, and I actually think you could have headlined that clash with that tag team main event, done that as the blow off too.
Yeah. All right, after a break, Eric Bischoff leads out Hollywood Hogan. Tony talks about Dusty Rhodes' theory that the NWO seeds were first planted at Bash of the Beach 95 when Dennis Rodman was at the show. And a year later, at Bash of the Beach 96, the NWO was born. And now Bash of the Beach 97, Dennis Rodman debuts. So some nice synergy for those July shows. Bischoff says, you watched Regis this morning and saw that skinny piece of garbage, Lex Luger, telling us how to work abs. Hogan says Luger will know his time, his place, and his reason in life because the Bash of the Beach, the Hollywood wannabe, finds out he's in his shadow, and the dirty dog will take care of the giant. Drinks and trash start to hit the ring. Hogan does his shtick. The crowd wakes up as Luger and Giant stalk out and step to Hogan. Bischoff tries to take a shot at Lex, but Lex laughs it off and backs him down. Giant stalks Hogan as Vincent's in, but Giant plants him with a chokeslam. Luger racks Bischoff as Giant chokeslams Buff, and Hogan avoids everything out to safety. And we wrap with the rack, which is a big time thing for Luger to rack Bischoff. Like, we haven't really had too much of that in standing tall, but it also fell a little bit flat. I don't know if it was the crowd or Hogan was kind of awkward. Like, instead of just leaving, he kind of stood there and watched everything awkwardly. But either way, Luger and Giant hit the final shot as we head to Daytona. So, which was a good tease because you kind of see this and think like, all right, Luger and Giant kind of got the heat. So Hogan and Rodman are probably going to win the match. Right. So I thought that was a good, potential setup there. But again, I thought the crowd reaction here was a little bit less than you would have thought.
Yeah, I think, I mean, to me, it felt like they were just, they were pelted the garbage very quickly, like even before they got in the ring. So they were maybe preoccupied with that. And then Hogan in general, I think his time was cut here because this is only like a 4 or 5 minute segment.
Yeah.
So I thought overall, like they did well enough and kind of giving one final shout out to the big main event. Yeah, I mean, Hogan belling, he definitely could have belled quicker. But just seeing Bischoff in the racks, a good kind of parting image as you head to the pay-per-view.
All right, let's do our awards. Match of the night, I went with the main event, the Steiners, Benoit, and McMichael.
Okay, I'm a Hoovy and Garza of all people versus the Fiatos.
All right. Best moment is, to me, the DDP Laparca.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk.
For MVP, I went Flair. I thought he's pretty good in all his segments tonight. The beatdown was good. I mean, I don't know. May have just overlooked Page. Maybe it should be Page. I don't know. What do you think? Savage was good too.
Originally, I think I had Page, but I tell you who I think I'm gonna change it to is Scott Hall.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm all right with that.
I think he sells the feud with Larry very well, and that's a feud that on the surface, if you're presented with it, he could have felt like that was beneath him. But he does well, like showing ass when he needs to tonight versus Hall. Or versus
all right.
Disco.
No shots fired debuts. We had Viano 5, who I don't think we've seen, have we?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Stevie Richards, of course.
Right.
Road Report was Orlando. And final grade, I went 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 for me too. I mean, some kind of weird stuff that I didn't particularly like the stuff we shared was abrupt and the blood runs cold angles kind of sputtering right now, but still I thought a lot of really good stuff. And actually again, like on Raw, that hey, we had a couple good matches on Raw. Well, hey, we had a couple good matches on Nitro too. So actually in ring, I thought this was one of the stronger Monday night shows we've had in a while collectively, where I had like 4 or 5 3-star matches.
All right, let's get to our combo awards. Best show, obviously we both had Nitro as higher.
Yep.
So
Nitro. Yep.
Best match, we're kind of all over the place. Probably the highest grade is either Sasuke Taka or the Steiner match, right?
Yeah, I think both of those are going to be cumulatively equal.
Let's go Sasuke just for the historical piece of it, I guess. But best moment, we'll go DDP. I think that actually as much as the Austin chair shot is like really, like we got 2 real memorable angles on the show. That's up there, but this is just better.
Yeah, I agree.
Better commentary, easily Nitro, Lawler.
Yeah, we talked about Raw's commentary getting a little closer, but this one was not close. This was a bad.
And it was all Lawler and Christopher's fault. They just destroyed it. Star of the night, I'm going to go Austin, though. I think he was bigger than Hall to me.
Yeah, fine with that.
Okay, and then the ratings winner was Nitro.
Yeah, pretty much same. We've been holding pat on the ratings, and you saw that too, where the last week Raw had the same exact rating, 2.5, and Nitro ticked up from a 3.3 to a 3.4. So essentially the same across the board.
And Chad, you made it, buddy. You survived. We got through it. Want to thank all the patrons that watched live tonight as part of our free Patreon. We had Ryan Gray, we had Reggie, we had Ish, we had Ryan Everett. Is someone else in there? I think that might be everyone. So big shout out to those that watched us live. We appreciate it. Love the comments coming in. Tried to get through most of them. Reggie says, get some rest, Chad. I agree. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Bash of the Beach 97, another big episode. As we keep rolling through the Monday Night Wars, be sure to subscribe to all things North South Connection. Smell the napalm. We'll talk to you soon.